Hey Hotshots, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy here today to talk about doing this with your mind will best predict your level of happiness. Welcome, this is Emotional Fire Academy. This is where we teach you tactical mindfulness to achieve epic results in your life. That's what I want for you. So welcome, we're gonna dive into the mind today. My name is Jess, I'm so glad you're here. Subscribe if this sounds good to you and you wanna live a happier, more fulfilling, more epic, more amazing life. That's what we do. So I found this awesome article and I wanted to kind of build out a video about it, and it's from the Harvard Gazette. It's called "A Wandering Mind is Not a Happy Mind." And I want to read some of the excerpts from it and kind of talk about it and how we can apply it to our own lives. Because what is the thing that predicts how we're going to be happy with our minds? It's where your mind goes. Right? Where your mind goes. Because according to this article, at least 47%, so at least half of your time of waking life is spent in pure imagination. All right, so let's jump into the article. I'm going to read you some excerpts here, and I'll link it below if you want to go ahead and open it up or check it out. Unlike other animals, humans spend a lot of time thinking about what isn't going on around them, contemplating events that happened in the past, what might happen in the future, or may never happen at all. Indeed, mind wandering appears to be one of the human brain's default modes of operation. So the researchers in this article, they created an app where they could actually check in with people and say, what are you thinking about right now? What are you doing right now? So they tracked their thoughts and where their mind were at different points of the day at random, and then crunched all the data. So one of the researchers says, mind wandering appears ubiquitous across all activities. This study shows that our mental lives are pervaded to a remarkable degree by the non-present. So often we point to imagination as just imagination, right? But what we don't realize is that so many of our cognitive activities fall into the category of imagination. Your memories are imagination. Right? Because you had your own view on them, right? How you stored them was based on the emotional reaction you were having at the time to that event, what details that you noticed. It wasn't the whole truth. It was your truth about that. And you keep it alive with your imagination. When you recall it, you actually never recall a memory the same way twice. You're always adding and taking away from the memory. So that is an element of imagination, really. Or forecasting, thinking about what could happen, thinking about the worst, trying to figure out a problem, the worst outcome, worrying about that transpiring in your life. These are all elements of imagination. Even just talking to yourself, having a conversation, listening to the internal critic in your heads. Where's that voice coming from? It's kind of imaginary. It's an imaginary voice that we listen to, that we sometimes, or a lot of the time, maybe are allowing it to dictate our behaviors, our choices, our decisions. And it's really imaginary. It's an imaginary voice in our head. So all of these elements of where we are and that at least 50% of our day are purely imagination. They're purely constructions of our mind that don't actually have a physical representation in the now moment, right? In the now moment, that activity, that situation probably isn't unfolding. It already happened, or we're thinking about how it's going to happen. And so it's pure imagination. So let me get back to the article. Let me read you a couple more quotes. And this is shown through the data. It says, mind wandering is an excellent predictor of people's happiness. In fact, how often our minds leave the present and where they tend to go is a better predictor of our happiness than the activities in which we're engaged. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, it's what you're thinking about what you're doing, what you're judging, what you're creating on the workbench of your mind about what you're involved in and where your mind is going. Time lag analysis conducted by the researchers suggested that their subjects' mind wandering was generally the cause, not the consequence of their unhappiness. I'm going to read that again because this is huge. Mind wandering was generally the cause, not the consequence of unhappiness. So people that were unhappy was because their mind was wandering to a place, to an imaginary space, either in memory or forecasting or in the voice in their head that wasn't pleasant. And that's where the unhappiness comes from. The effect then is feeling unhappy, feeling upset, feeling emotional, feeling whatever we're feeling. It's not actually the present moment or the activities we're doing. It's what our mind, the story and the imaginative element that is being overlaid on those activities. And yeah, so this article, I want to offer you an alternative perspective and add to this thought is that remember that your imagination is infinite. It's unlimited. Anything can happen in imagination. So when you find yourself reacting to your imagination, because you're there at least half of the day, I would guess at least it's probably even more than that. It's probably 90% of your day is in your mind, in some imaginative element. How much of your day are you actually engrossed in the present moment and just being observant and present in flow state with present moment? Very little. So the key to happiness, the key to taking back our power, the key to living an epic life, the key to generating joy in the moment is starting to take that imaginative element off of autopilot. I talked last week about taking your attention off autopilot. Check out that video. This is the same concept, taking things off of autopilot. Instead of your mind wandering to a place automatically in your imagination, an old memory, a crappy outcome that you're worrying about or trying to prevent or trying to fix, negative self-talk. Instead of going there, we have the option to be more creative with our imagination, to imagine in a more creative way. The conversation I had about creativity, again, same concept. Using your imagination for joy and happiness in the moment just because your imagination holds that capacity to do that. So again, when we find ourselves in a place in our mind we don't want to be, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Your imagination is unlimited. Think of the best possible outcome. Think of a good memory. Think of how you want things to be, how something creative and fun that only you want to experience in your imagination. Use your imagination simply for the act of bringing you joy. And people will say, well, why would I do that? Well, because you're not only bringing yourself happiness in that moment, in that present moment, through your imagination, instead of ruminating about some old thing, you're bringing yourself joy in the moment, and you're also rewiring your brain. When you do this consciously and you keep choosing to do this instead of letting your mind wander off to a crappy area of your imagination, to the ghetto of your imagination, that's where it's going, right? You have options of anything in your imagination, right? There could be palaces and castles, or there could be a ghetto and a swamp. Don't go to the swamp. Don't go to the swamp. Go to the castle. Go to the nice place. Go to the lavish, luxurious, wonderful, awesome place in your imagination where you're happy and fulfilled and joyful, because then you're also priming yourself, you're priming your mind to continue going there, right? You're reconditioning your mind to start going to those places in your imagination instead, automatically, right? Because that's what we do when we start reconditioning a habit. We practice going there. So you're getting positive benefit in the present moment by feeling good. You're reconditioning your mind, not only on a mental level to continue to go to those places in your imagination, but also on a physiological level. You're rewiring your neural pathways to feel good, to see the good in the moment, to feel better, right? And as you do that, the more and more, you're going to see more of that in your reality, because you've primed your mind to accept the more joyful, happy, abundant, loving spaces. They're more familiar to you, and so you will recognize more of them in your reality, in the outside world, because that's what you're used to. That's your normal. It becomes a normal for you. So just some thoughts about how to, if you're already 50% in your imagination every day, we might as well make it work for us. So let me know what you thought below. If you need help, if you need a tool for starting to recondition yourself, starting to extract from the swamp of your imagination, from the ghetto, from the derelict areas, grab my stop, drop, and roll tool that is available to you. Link is below. It is a free tool and it will train you how to do that. Train you how to do exactly that. Extract so you can go to a better place in your imagination. So let me know what you thought. Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.